Starting September 1st, China's new Social Security rules require all workers to be covered, no exceptions. The cost? It's on the factory owners, so if a factory has, say, 10 employees, that's tens of thousands of dollars a year just to cover social insurance. And let's be real, everyone knows how rough the economy is this year. Take Kong, for example. 7 factories there have already shut down this year. Those bosses, they're probably done with running factories for good. And that means all their workers are now back on the job hunt. Have you noticed it's not just summer jobs getting pay cuts, full-time workers across the board are making less? Why? It's simple. If you don't want the job, someone else will take it. Our generation's just too big. There are way more people than positions. Lately, everyday folks in China are feeling the squeeze. After the new Social Security policies rolled out, wages, benefits, civil service exams, and job opportunities have all taken a hit. The economy is heading south, but housing prices and living costs still sky high, and that anxiety, especially among young people, is getting worse. In sectors like healthcare, education, food service, and hospitality, salaries are down, but workloads haven't budged. Many frontline workers say they're putting in the effort but not getting paid fairly. Even jobs that used to be safe and stable are now struggling to make payroll. I'm still job hunting, but honestly, with these new Social Security rules, I'm starting to wonder if it's even worth it. In small towns, wages were already low. Many small businesses didn't offer social insurance to begin with. You might make $400 to $500 a month, barely enough to scrape by with rent and food. Now, even if the company agrees to pay their share, we have to chip in too. So, out of a $400 paycheck, I might be left with $200 or less. Tell me, how are we supposed to live on that? How do we pay off mortgages, buy a car, get married, or raise kids? Some netizens have pointed out that while this new rule might look like a step towards standardizing tax and insurance systems, it's actually hitting regular folks the hardest, especially middle-aged workers in small towns. Think about it, lots of people are already in their 40s or 50s, starting to pay into the system now. There's almost no chance they'll hit the 20-year minimum required to qualify for retirement benefits. On top of that, companies don't want to hire older workers. So, if you get laid off, not only are you out of a job, you also lose whatever you already paid in. It's gone and you can't get it back. That just adds even more pressure on people who are already struggling. Here's something that just doesn't make sense. The minimum payment base for Social Security is actually higher than the minimum wage. Take Zhengzhou as an example. In 2025, the minimum wage was $292, but the minimum insurance base is $523. So, based on that, workers are paying about $225 a month into social insurance. That leaves someone earning minimum wage with less than $69 to actually live on. And seriously, how do you survive on $69 a month? I've heard that now, with the government forcing factories to pay into Social Security, bosses are cutting wages to make up for the added costs. So, workers are taking home even less than before. The pressure is real. Like someone who used to make around $700 a month is now bringing home just $550 after social insurance takes its cut. At least $130. And let's be honest, given the pollution, the food safety issues, who even knows if we'll live long enough to retire and use those benefits? And it's not just the money. Years of chronic overtime are draining people physically. A lot of folks are seriously wondering whether they'll live to see retirement at all. Retirement policies also keep changing. The age limit, the payout rules, none of it feels stable. Some people are even worried the funds won't be used properly, or that if they miss payments, they won't be able to withdraw anything. With so many unknowns, public trust in the system is plummeting. Many analysts believe this whole policy shift comes down to one thing: China's Social Security fund is running dry. To plug the gap, the government rolled out the new rules in September. Companies and individuals are now banned from making private deals to skip paying social insurance. But implementing that, it's proving tricky. The idea behind Social Security is that young people today pay into the system so the elderly can retire with dignity. But here's the problem. When the 60s and 70s generation starts retiring en masse, there just won't be enough 90s and 2000 babies to cover the cost. Fewer people, lower wages, and that's a recipe for disaster. And that crisis, it's already starting. That's why the government pushed this new policy in September, banning off-the-books deals where workers skip paying into the system. But enforcement is tough. Take someone making $1,400 a month. Under the new rules, the company has to cough up an extra 26%, totaling $1,761 per worker. Meanwhile, the employee only takes home $1,244. So, to cut costs, some companies are lowering the base wage to $1,118, leaving workers with just $1,006 a month. That pushes many workers out of big cities, shrinks consumer spending, and hits the service industry hard. Others refuse pay cuts, which raises company costs even more, sometimes forcing businesses to shut down. And that snowballs into falling home prices and rising unemployment. Worse still, China's pension system has some huge holes. An audit found $5.5 billion in pension funds missing in the healthcare and eldercare sectors, with 4,120 officials held accountable. One employee at a Social Security office in the South added dozens of fake names to the system every day, embezzling $17 million over 3 years. In one provincial capital, 7 private hospitals faked 28,000 patient records to skim huge amounts from the health insurance fund. This kind of stuff, it's everywhere. And there's more. A growing number of companies are starting to delay or flat out withhold wages. A friend of mine only got half his paycheck last month, and the company said it was having cash flow issues. Another user online said her cousin works at a private school and they haven't paid salaries on time for 3 months in a row. And let's be real, when paychecks stop coming, stress kicks in fast. Rent, tuition, hospital bills, they're not gonna wait. Social media is flooded with posts asking, what do I do if my company can't pay me? Even the once reliable iron rice bowl jobs in government and public institutions? Yeah, they're not stable anymore. Let's take a look at Shenzhen. Government jobs, civil servants, teachers used to be the dream. Starting salaries were around $40,000 to $50,000 a year. Now, salaries have been slashed by a third, and performance bonuses have taken a huge hit. In Suzhou, it's even worse. End-of-year bonuses in the public sector dropped from $10,000 to around $4,000. And for new hires, their housing fund contributions have been cut in half. Things are even bleaker in poorer regions. One guy from Northeast China said he worked his tail off for 3 months and got paid not in cash, but in vouchers that could only be used at a specific mall. Why? Because land sales have basically frozen, local governments are strapped for cash, and tax revenues are barely growing. The money just isn't there anymore. The healthcare sector isn't spared either. Recent data shows that roughly 1 in every 2 doctors or nurses has taken a pay cut. Even top-tier Class A hospitals have seen salaries slashed by more than half. But the workload? That hasn't changed. ER nurses are still struggling 7 to 8 patients per shift. Surgeons are performing back-to-back operations all day. Pediatricians barely have time to drink water before their shift ends, and yet their paychecks keep shrinking. There are 2 main reasons for this. First, the healthcare billing system changed. Hospitals now get a fixed budget per illness, and anything beyond that comes out of their own pocket. So, to cut costs, they're limiting medical supplies, skipping tests, and sometimes even turning patients away. That directly hits doctors' and nurses' bonuses. Second, public hospitals across China are drowning in debt, over $279 billion in total. And what's their go-to fix? Slashing bonuses for medical staff. Meanwhile, admin and support staff, their pay stays the same. That pay gap, it's crushing morale. At one hospital, 25 nurses split a monthly bonus pool of just $1,811. That's about $72 per person. The highest earner got $117, the lowest, only $40. That's barely enough to pay utilities or buy 2 bags of baby formula. And it's not just nurses, doctors are hurting too. At a top-tier hospital in Chengdu, one doctor used to make over $1,390 a month in bonuses. In May, just $117. He's struggling to cover his $830 mortgage and won't even get that paycheck until August. In Anhui, a deputy chief physician who's been working for over a decade and holds a senior title, saw his performance bonus cut from $627 to $209. That's less than what some food delivery drivers make. Even worse, the clinical medicine major is becoming a cold field. It takes 10 years to train a fully qualified doctor, 5 years of undergrad, 3 years of residency, and 2 years of specialization. But after a decade of grueling education, if your job can't even guarantee basic survival, who's still going to choose this path?
夜班费腰斩。
Night shift pay has been cut in half, performance bonuses are way down, and take-home salaries, they've dropped significantly. At Southern Medical University, nearly 60% of medical staff have taken pay cuts. The whole healthcare community is buzzing about it. Doctors get that hospitals are under pressure, but what frustrates them the most is this. The workload hasn't changed. They're still doing outpatient care, hospital rounds, surgeries, and overtime is now just the norm. Yet their incomes keep shrinking. If these cuts become the new normal, the future of the medical profession in China looks really grim. The economic downturn over the past decade, it's been painfully obvious. Just look at my husband's story. He graduated from Peking University in 2016 and took a job in Guangzhou, making about $2,787 a month. In 2018, he moved back to Hainan, where the only jobs available paid between $836 and $975 a month. So, in 2019, he decided to go to grad school, hoping for a better future, maybe a job in academia. But when he graduated in 2022 and 2023, his salary had plummeted to around $418 a month. Today's Saturday, it's already 11:40 a.m., and he's still at school, printing documents and finishing up work. He's a grad student from one of China's top 211 universities, but the income, it's barely enough to live on. It feels hopeless. Right now, I'm on summer break and technically unemployed, just resting at home. Lately, I've seen friends posting on social media. Someone's off to Xinjiang, someone's exploring Tibet, someone just bought a car or even a house. And honestly, it makes me anxious. I tried talking to a close friend in another city. He's got a job, but he's barely scraping by. After a full month of work, he earns less than $557. Once rent and utilities are paid, there's barely anything left. Forget about travel, he might even be in debt by the end of the month. So what kind of society are we living in now? For ordinary people, saving money or building wealth, it feels nearly impossible. People always say, just be frugal, spend less, but the truth is, prices are high. Everything from ride shares to daily essentials costs more now. And while big cities have subways, plenty of places don't. That means getting around is tough and expensive. Most people are spending money every single day just to survive. Saving up or improving your life, that's a luxury. It's not that young people are lazy or negative. It's that reality is hitting them hard and they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. Many netizens are calling this the Great Pay Cut era. Same job, lower salary, same salary, more work, same position, fewer benefits. In this struggling economy, you'd think companies might ease up, but instead, many are raising performance targets. Even if they don't cut salaries outright, they're stretching work hours way longer, so your actual hourly income goes down. And if you want to switch jobs, good luck. Either there's no openings or you'll have to accept even lower pay to get in. Workloads haven't gone down. For a lot of people, they've actually gone up. And this isn't the kind of problem you solve just by switching roles or companies. The reality is, ordinary people have almost no power to change today's harsh working conditions. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.